Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I hope you're doing fantastic. I know I am. And I've been debating on what to do a video about. I've got a few things going, and I'm kind of like, what am I most prepared to talk about? I'm like, well, that depends upon a lot of things, I suppose. Well, I talk a lot about simulation theory and whether or not this construct that we live in is a computer simulation or is it more of like a divine matrix. Divine matrix would be it would be more of a spiritual simulation. In other words, the mind of the creator, but the creator had a realization. It realized it exists. It's like I am. And then it began creating. And then it divided itself into however many divine sparks there are in an attempt to experience itself, to discover itself, to get to know itself. And that's what we are. That's what you are. You are a divine spark. You are the creator just having a discovery. Well, I believe that is what we would call prime reality. And then some people are like, does prime reality even exist? I'm like, well, there was that original I am moment. However, we can also have many other simulations or realities or realms or whatever, like the dream within a dream within a dream forever thing. Because like even in this realm, in this construct that we're in currently, we run simulations all the time for lots of reasons. For one, to simulate weather patterns, to simulate objects that are out in space and whether or not this particular asteroid will ever impact the Earth, in say the next 200 years or whatever. We do simulations all the time for those things. And then there are like games like The Sims and all that. And I realize that those are very, very, very elementary or rudimentary or just very basic. But we got to realize that if we were the Sims, that we would be possibly avatars or bodies jacked in, or these bodies are avatar, and then we are our true higher self is on the outside of the game, jacked into this, so that we can live and experience and have, learn whatever it is, or gain whatever knowledge and wisdom and maturity and all of that stuff. And what would be the purpose of that? Well, the purpose of that would be for like a quarantine, like. You can mess everything up all you want in here, and it will not cross-contaminate the outside. So we could get in here and we could mess with genetics because they're so hard, trying so hard to do that now, about doing all kinds of things with genetics and this and that. And then maybe even with nuclear stuff, whatever. I mean, I'm definitely not the scientific guy. We know that. I'm more the spiritual guy. Yeah. But anyway, so what would be the purpose of doing simulations? Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons, right? And it could be that we are here just for the sake of self-discovery, right? But then I do always kind of fall back to the divine matrix, that this is the mind of God or the creator or whatever you want to call it. That the universe is an idea or a thought inside the mind of the all. But then there can be lots of things going on inside of it. Layers and layers of realities and simulations even. So where does it all end? Where do we fit into it in this, with this particular body? And I'm fully convinced that my true higher self is on the outside, and it is jacked into this body, this avatar, through the filter of the brain. And the brain would be like the processor in a computer. It would be the thing, the go-between but it's also a filter. So that way, because if I were to come into this life knowing everything already, well, there'd be not a whole lot to learn. There'd be no experience to gain, really, because it's like, well, what are you going to discover? So there's that, right? Well, then there's the word that is it seems new, but it's not. It's a 16th century Latin word called simulacrum, and it is kind of coming on. It's getting a lot more popular now, that word. Jason Brashears of the Archaics channel, he used it and called it the simulacrum or whatever, mispronouncing it in a very endearing way. You know, you couldn't help but love it, right? I mean, at the time, I didn't know what the proper pronunciation was either. Sounded good to me. But we have since learned that it is simulacrum. All right, fair enough, fine, whatever. Well, Howdy Mikowski, another one that I assume it is Makuski, proper pronunciation, but whatever. Howdy Mikowski is a modern philosopher, you know, and very prolific in a lot of ways in his analyses of reality. And he has been using the word simulacrum a lot as well. And it's like, well, what is a simulacrum, Matt? Well, if you were to Google it, which I don't always recommend doing because, well, you're going to get very skewed stuff, right? So anyway, the definition of a simulacrum, like I've already said, it's a 16th century Latin word. All right. Well, the definition is an image or representation of someone or something. Or another one is it's an unsatisfactory imitation or substitute. Unsatisfactory imitation. Huh. Well, simulacra, which would be the plural, simulacra are copies that depict things that either had no original or that the original or that no longer has an original. In other words, the original has been destroyed, or just for whatever reason, it has been so mutated or so morphed from its original that it's no longer that. It's now, well, an unsatisfactory substitute, I suppose. So it's a simulation and is the imitation of a real world process or system. Okay. Well, who used the word originally was, and I'm going to really butcher this word, so please. Okay. So, all right. Jean Baudrillard, said, simulation no longer refers to any original reality, but functions as a reality in its own right. Something that replaces reality with its representation. So what that means is, to us, and I'm going to get more into this because there are levels of simulacrum, but what that means to us is that this reality is a copy of another reality. In other words, we have taken what is real, or what we at least perceive on the outside to be real, and who knows if that even is. There could be layers, you know, the dream within a dream forever, right? So this is a copy of the original. Now, the example I like to use is, like, imagine yourself, if you're old enough, 20 or 30 years ago. If you could see into the future, if you could see right now, it would really, reality now would pretty much be unrecognizable. With the technology and with just the way the world is, and just a lot of things would seem like that's not even real. That's not even real. That can't be real. That's not the world. Well, it is. And imagine 20 or 30 years from now what it's going to be like. And that's still within my own lifetime. I just turned 50 years old 2 days ago as I was recording of this. So it is a reality that is morphing. It's becoming something else. It's becoming something that is not what it originally was. And that, by definition, is simulacrum. So, anyway, loved ones, that is something to really kind of think about, because we got more to go on this, and I'm going to do a part 2 in a couple of days about the levels of simulacrum and what that really means to us and in our own life and our perceptions. So, there's that. But for now, it is the definition is an image or representation of someone or something, or an unsatisfactory imitation or substitute. And it refers to any original reality, but functions as a reality in its own right. Meaning it was like that, but now it's not. Anyway, loved ones, that's what I got. And yes, I know I'm supposed to ask for subscriptions and likes and all that stuff at the beginning of videos, and I don't, because I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I got, and I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and comment and share and all that good stuff. So there you go. Yeah, that's what I got. I do love you, and I will be back directly.